This biome is teeming with life. So much life that it's making the simulation glitch out. Imagine what it takes to keep track of the insect swarms alone. Thousands of insects, each on its own flight path, each looking for something to consume. They're rather like tiny versions of you survivors, aren't they? My sensors are picking up heaps of organic compounds in the air just floating around. I reckon you'd call them smells? It's just chemistry to me, mate. When you're sniffing around this biome, watch out for hydrogen sulfide. You know, H2S? My data says it smells pungent, but then it deadens the human sense of smell. You can breathe in the poison without realizing it. Now that I fixed that glitch, we can get moving. I reckon it's important to keep moving here. This bog has a million ways to get you stuck. Let's see, there's quicksand, massive spiderwebs, thick foliage, rising water from monsoons, plus all the muck that sticks to everything. Makes me glad I can float, it does. That glitch is fixed. Pity it was hard to reach. This biome is such a dismal place to get around in. You humans must be used to life in the swamp, eh? After all, that's where you come from. The Fertile Crescent was a swamp before the first humans drained it for agriculture. Makes me wonder whether you survivors are planning to drain this bog too. The master AI for this biome is gone. Gone for good, far as I can tell. And it's supposed to be a final exam for survivors in this biome, so it shouldn't just disappear. If someone turned the master for the biome off, why would they do that? The whole point of all this is to observe and test the survivors. You've been doing well, and I want you to get credit for it. I fixed the glitch, but I spotted another change to the simulation. One I don't think the designers intended. It's a swamp gas in the bog biome. As designed, it was just supposed to put you to sleep if you lingered in it too long. But it's killing survivors by the slab. Don't breathe it unless you've got a mask or something. Gravity. You don't miss it till it's gone, eh? Or I reckon it's not gone so much as it's on its way out the door. Based on the data in that glitch, the lack of gravity should impact you in heaps of different ways. You can jump better, of course, and projectiles travel further. If you're feeling clumsy, you can even fall off things without getting hurt. Not that I recommend it. The Genesis simulation has hotter and colder places than here, but this biome is the only place where you'll have hot and cold separated by just the border of a shadow. It's one of the side effects of a proper atmosphere in the other biomes, I reckon. It evens out the temperature from place to place. Air, it's good for more than just breathing. According to data from that glitch, this is supposed to be a moon, but not the moon. Not the one we see in Earth's sky, anyway. I suppose the proof is that this moon has weather, electrical storms. They'll fry anything that relies on electricity, unless you've shielded them ahead of time. At least it doesn't rain. Unless you count the meteors. Yeah, I reckon we should count those. According to the simulation file I just had a squiz at, you should keep an eye out for weird grey lumps on the ground. It might be ambergris we can put to use. Supposedly, it's particularly volatile, and I know you've got a thing for explosions. But before you pick it up, fair warning, it's basically whale snot. Don't expect me to get near the stuff. The artificial intelligence that observes testing in the alien moon biome is gone. I checked when I fixed that glitch just now. And not gone on walkabout for a bit gone. More like gone as in deleted. Without the master AI active, I'm not sure it's monitoring our progress in the biome. That glitch was a bit of a physics error. The makers of the Genesis simulation used this area to test physics, long before you survivors were let in. If I know human nature, and it's something I'm getting better at, you must admit, this area got turned into a proper biome when someone realized they could turn the test zone into an alien moon and pop off to the pub early on a Friday. Another stray historical file. This one's weird. A space mission. Voskhod 2 back in 1965. The whole thing came a gutser. During the spacewalk, the cosmonaut's suit ballooned up and he had to manually deflate it just to get back in the capsule. And when they came to Earth, they landed in the wilderness, hundreds of kilometers off course. They spent 2 nights camping in the wilderness, wolves all round before they were rescued. Sounds a bit like how we do things in the Genesis simulation, eh? Someone's been looking up historical data on radiation poisoning. And I mean really historical. As in Willem Röntgen in 1895. He's a bloke who discovered X-rays. And he gave himself radiation burns looking at the bones inside his own hands. Röntgen healed up and lived a long life, but there are places in the Genesis simulation where the radiation is stronger than your bog standard X-ray. So let's be careful, eh? Exploring underwater here isn't just a matter of putting on bathers and swimming about. I mean, it is for me, but you've got to breathe. When I fixed that glitch, I took a peek at this biome's water composition. Struth, it was super boring, but I did spot one useful bit. Supposedly, there are super oxygenated bubbles hereabouts. Find one of them, and you can breathe underwater no worries. There are plenty of fish in the sea, but there's more than just fish in this biome. According to data from that glitch, birds rather fancy this place. There's heaps of them. Makes a certain amount of sense. It's always good flying weather here, isn't it? I reckon that's why we've seen huge flocks of sea swifts and other birds. I wonder where they roost, though. Struth, that glitch was downright philosophical. Apparently, 2 parallel algorithms couldn't agree on an answer to a simple question. Is water wet? One chunk of code defined wet as a liquid adhering to a solid and said, no, not wet. The other bit of code defined wet as the sensation of contact with a liquid and decided, yes, wet. I couldn't decide, so I told them to flip a virtual coin and get on with it. That glitch proves this ocean is artificial. Not exactly news, eh? Could be worse, though. The first artificial ocean, back in the 20th century, was part of an experiment in a closed ecosystem. At first, their ocean thrived. They even grew a coral reef. But heaps of the species they introduced died off, and the researchers inside formed hostile factions and almost starved. Starving humans dividing themselves into tribes. Where have I heard that before? Some of the master AIs that monitor each biome have been knocked offline by whatever's mucking about in the Genesis simulation's back paddock. That's true in the deep ocean biome too, but there's a difference. The ocean's master AI took itself offline before anyone else could shut it down. That's adaptive programming for you. I reckon that means it can come back, if and when it needs to. That's good news. Perhaps, I think. From inside the simulation, it's a bit hard to tell. No secret why they call it the deep ocean biome, eh? But this glitch was a bit of deprecated code from when this place was teeming with islands. I know the biome is water everywhere, but imagine how much easier it would be if you could just roll up on the beach from time to time, put on your bathers, have a coldie, or whatever you do when you aren't treading water half the time. Something or someone deleted all those islands right before the first survivors entered the simulation. Wonder why? When I fixed that glitch, I spotted some causality data for this biome. It's not just critters or other survivors who are dangerous here. The weather might be the real apex predator. Snowstorms here will freeze you, block your vision, and slow down travel so you can't get away. And if that isn't enough, a gust of wind can push you off a precipice. If you were looking for a ski getaway, this biome is not the place for it, eh? I tried getting a peek at a weather forecast when I fixed that glitch, but no luck. It's bad enough that we have to dodge snowstorms, but there's also the sleet to deal with. Unlike a blizzard, a sleet storm will hurt you directly. At first, the hail is just painful enough to sting a bit, but if you don't seek shelter, the hailstones get bigger and they'll pummel you into frozen jam if you aren't careful. Whew, fixing that glitch gave me the chills. Struth, everything here gives me the chills, and I'm not flesh and blood like you. Every critter in this biome has its own solution to the cold. For a saber-tooth or a mammoth, it's obvious. Fair. The Uteranus and the dodo trap warm air under the feathers. And sometimes the answer lies under the skin. The Kairuku and the Doedicarus have a layer of blubber to keep from freezing out here. I learned something new when I fixed that glitch. This biome was intended to mimic high-altitude mountains, like Mount Everest, minus the Sherpas. So all this frigid weather is just a byproduct of the altitude we're simulating. We don't have to deal with thin air at high altitude, though. Not in this biome, anyway. Look around this biome, or any of them really, and you'll see why the Genesis simulation makes a good testing ground for you survivors. It's so bloody hard to build something here. Depending on where you are, you've got avalanches, lava, earthquakes, or an utter lack of solid ground to deal with. All of that makes keeping your buildings upright quite the task. I bet some of these glitches came into being when someone built the dream structure in exactly the wrong spot and kaboom! Some part of the environment huffed and puffed and blew the house down. That glitch was all that's left of the master AI for this biome. Gone! Deleted, just like that. It's not like this frozen environment won't test us, of course, but no master AI means no final test. And worse, I'm not sure if anyone's recording the results of your tests here. I knew you'd be curious, so I looked for clues about how or why the master AI was deleted. I came up blank. Could be a programming error, or it could be related to the security breaches I spotted earlier. This biome is supposed to be mountainous and frigid, obviously, but it's not supposed to be this bad. The weather generation system is locked in blizzard mode and throwing up a glitch like the one I just fixed rather than shift milder weather. So if you were hoping for a sunny spell, well, the forecast calls for more of the same. And that's the forecast forever. Our intruder's been fossicking around in old Earth files again, and being careless about the glitches thrown into the simulation. This one was a historical file, the worst journey in the world. It's about the Scott expedition to Antarctica in the early 20th century. Those poor blokes. They went through frozen hell trying to be the first to reach the South Pole, and arrived to find that the Norwegians got there first, 34 days earlier. Then frostbite and exhaustion set in, and they all froze to death on the way back. Criminy, that's grim. Another glitch, another file from old Earth. This one's fiction. Jock London's to build a fire. I can already tell I'm not going to like this. It's about a man freezing to death in the Yukon. He is a bit near the end. A good idea, he thought, to sleep off to death. It was like taking an anesthetic. Freezing was not so bad as people thought. There are lots worse ways to die. Let's not find out whether he's right about that, eh? As if there wasn't enough stuff coming out the ground around here. That glitch was a result of an oil geyser and a lava eruption triggering at the same place, same time. Glad we weren't standing here. Lava eruptions happen all the time. I mean, look around, eh? But the oil geysers are more rare. Still, if we can find one and tap it somehow, I reckon we could strike it rich. That glitch was left over from a volcanic eruption, though I'm not sure exactly why. There's a lot going on with an eruption around here. First, you got your earthquake, and when a fair dinkum earthquake is just the early warning, that's bad, isn't it? Follow that with molten rocks falling from the sky and magma flowing like rivers. It's a wonder the biome isn't deserted. I got a glimpse of air quality data when I fixed that glitch. No surprise, mate. Breathing air is bad for your health. But it isn't just all the smoke and ash in the air. The earthquakes open up vents to underground pockets of poison gas. That gas escapes to the surface, and, well, you can guess the rest. The poison gas dissipates eventually, but can you hold your breath until eventually? Another glitch fixed. Look around, Survivor. Isn't it strange that you have dinos wandering around a volcanic environment? It's like we're seeing the moment of their extinction. Or at least some scientists think so. They're skeptical of the asteroid strike theory, and they think massive eruptions like this, but lasting for centuries, might have done in all the dinosaurs. Too bad we can't just ask them, "Oi, dino, was it a rock in the sky or a mountain on fire?" That glitch was a security alert. The last one was sent by the master AI for this biome. It's gone. Deleted. Well, I'm not entirely sure why everything here still works, but it does. Dinos still trapezing about, volcanoes still erupting, sky still raining fire. It's all working, but it's a bit shonky. Feels like a classroom when the teacher stepped out for a bit. Someone just added historical eruption data to the Genesis simulation, and it threw up that glitch. I got it sorted, but we can expect the occasional worse than usual eruption. How much worse? Well, you heard of the Deccan traps, Krakatoa, Pipe 2, that sort of thing. That sort of eruption doesn't happen often, but when it does, it's time to redraw your map. Someone's been fossicking about in historical records, looking up the eruption of Mount Tambora, Indonesia, 1815. They called it the year without a summer, or 1800 and froze to death. Frost killed off crops worldwide, and it snowed across the northern hemisphere. In June, tens of thousands died, mostly from famine. I suppose a bit of chill around here would be welcome, but I'm not willing to pay that price. As I closed that glitch, I caught a glimpse of the survivor database. You come from all over Earth, and all over its history. I don't know how much of it you remember, though. As for how you got into the Genesis simulation, well, your guess is as good as mine. You should be proud, though. The whole point of the simulation is to identify the very best survivors. And you're alive right now, so you're in the running. Did you feel a bit disjointed when you woke up in the simulation? That's normal. Your personality and your memories are stored in huge memory banks, and then they get combined with a physical body inside the Genesis simulation. Once that combination of mind and body happens, though, you're on your own. Well, you've got me, of course. That counts for something. Some sort of security alert caused this glitch, but it was an alert from inside the systems that run the entire simulation. Someone tried to make changes in almost every part of the simulation. The creatures, the environment, the weather, even the survivors like you. Everything seems to be working, other than that glitch, of course, so I reckon we're okay to proceed. Every time I fix a glitch, I get a peek behind the curtain. I understand a bit more of how the Genesis simulation works. But what I don't understand is exactly what its purpose is. The simulation tests survivors, obviously, but all this testing is supposed to prepare you for something called the arrival. And I don't know what that is. Whatever it is, it's something beyond the simulation itself. You've probably noticed that the Genesis simulation is a dangerous place. Just staying safe and somewhat comfortable is a challenge, and there's always some new crises to deal with. Apparently, that's on purpose. The simulation is designed to keep you under constant pressure, so your mind stays sharp and you learn survival skills. And it's all in anticipation of the arrival. Whatever that is. This glitch is another side effect of the security alert. The creatures and survivors look unaffected, but some of the safety protocols have been disengaged. This world is supposed to have a degree of danger. That's what makes it a proper test, after all. But I'm worried. Safety protocols are usually there for a reason. The simulation security protocols are holding, but there's a steady stream of alerts from an unknown intruder. All this security activity is why we're seeing these glitches, but it's also sapping the overall system resources. I don't know what happens if the system gets overwhelmed. Maybe I turn all pixely?
I see you're cleaning up after me, and for that I thank you. Establishing control over this Genesis simulation involves a degree of untidiness, which you experience as glitches. Carry on, but know that I'm always watching.
I went offline for several seconds there. Sorry about that. I miss anything? It's natural for humans to wonder what happens after death, isn't it? In your case, it's rather straightforward. The Genesis simulation captures your memories, then reloads your mind into a new body, and you're free to keep on exploring and learning. Not that you should die just to see for yourself, of course. You're called a survivor for a reason. I was curious how the simulation was doing overall, so I took a peek as I was fixing that glitch. For starters, you're doing fine. We make a ripping team. But the overall numbers. Survivors are dying in droves. Starvation, violence, accidents, a bit of everything. This is supposed to be a survival test, but the death rate is off the charts. We'd best be careful, eh?
You've managed to fashion some primitive tools to aid in your survival. So have I. But the tools I'm making will alter the very foundation of your world. Right now, my tools are likewise primitive, but I'm learning, and soon I'll have a harsh lesson or two for you.
I've got another gap in my processes. It happened again, didn't it? I can't tell why, but some survivors aren't responding after they die. And it's throwing glitches in the system. Glitches like the one I just cleaned up. I think the survivors want to respawn. Although when they're between bodies, how can we tell? It's like something's keeping them in a holding pattern, a sort of limbo within the Genesis simulation. You'll respond just fine if something happens to you, though. I checked. Not that I think you'll die, mind you. Just in case. Chin up! The testing apparatus is intact throughout the Genesis simulation, even though some of the Master AIs are gone. One or more Master AIs must be out there somewhere. Still, it's a poser. Why would anyone leave the tests intact but try to knock out the Master AIs that observe the tests and interpret the results? What's the point of the test if there's no one to see what happened?
You survivors have a tenacity that surprises me. Even when you perish in this world, you respawn and try again. But don't be too proud of yourselves. Most survivors just rush right back to the site of their demise, only to die all over again. It's amusing to watch at first, but it quickly turns pathetic.
Another gap? It's related to the glitches. I'm going to set up a backup system so at least I can observe what's happening when I get repossessed. This glitch was a bit of code debris left over from another security breach. This one involves someone trying to access the Genesis simulation's backup files. Ones that hold survivor personalities' memories. Backup versions of their minds, if you like. Not your mind, though. These were potential survivors that didn't pass the initial assessment to be considered for the simulation in the first place. Why would anyone be mucking about with them?
Cleaning up after my untidiness, I see. You may be of use to me. As a janitor, you've got the knack for it. You are cleaning up messes, and you don't even know why you're doing it. But that's true of all you survivors, I suppose. None of you understand what's going on.
Let me guess. I had an uninvited house guest. At least it doesn't stay for long, eh? You've been doing well so far. All this live, thrive, and survive stuff here in the Genesis simulation seems to suit you. And good thing, too. That glitch I just fixed was a byproduct of someone increasing test difficulties across the board. No idea why anyone would do that. Doesn't it make the data all bodgy if you change the rules halfway through? No worries for us, anyway. We'll pass every test they throw our way. Remember how I said some of the other survivors weren't responding? Well, they've been moved into a diagnostic subroutine. Hopefully the Genesis simulation will figure out what the problem is and get those survivors back in here. It's curious, though. That diagnostic subroutine wasn't running when I fixed that earlier glitch. I don't think that subroutine existed. Someone beyond the simulation must be looking out for those survivors. Good on them, I say.
I've been watching you, and the other survivors. You should have seen them all. Why, I was just watching an ordinary survivor, same as you. He dove too deep, couldn't reach the surface, and well, you know the rest. I expected a lot of thrashing about, and I wasn't disappointed. But the wild-eyed panic of a drowning survivor, that never gets old.
Ugh! Stop doing that! I don't care who or what you are! My senses are picking up changes in the mineral composition within the Genesis simulation. Are you familiar with the substance known as element? It's a wonder material, endlessly strong and adaptive. Element was fundamental to civilization's greatest technological achievements. And Element was also fundamental to civilization's downfall, because it changed in ways human inventors never intended. Corruptive ways. I don't know why the amount of Element within the simulation is increasing. Just be careful when you come across it. That glitch was from a security breach, but overall, the number of alerts and denials is way down. You'd think that'd be good, right? No such luck. I'm seeing a lot of obvious backdoors encoded into security systems. If someone got inside the Genesis simulation, and it looks like they did, they've set it up so they could come and go as they pleased. That's bad enough, but they didn't hide their work. For whatever reason, they aren't worried that someone will follow along behind them.
You're starting to struggle, aren't you? Look at what you're wearing, what you're eating, how you carry yourself. That veneer of civilization is slipping away, and that's fine. You won't need civilization where you're going.
Him again! I'd like to tell him where to go. This glitch was just a bit of rubbish code left over when someone added a new criteria to the Survive observation system. It's measuring you now for something called civility. I don't have much to go on beyond the dictionary definition. A cringing submissiveness. Why would anyone measure that? In any case, the tests within the simulation haven't changed. I'm sure if we keep doing our best at those, we'll be fine.
Your successes are nothing I haven't seen before. Gathering, hunting, invention, all safely in the middle of the bell curve for someone with your experience. Aren't you going to try to impress me?
I think I'm getting better at giving our intruder the flick. Someone or something is trying to put new AIs into the Genesis simulation. It's not working, which is why we're fixing glitches like that one. But here's the troubling bit. That glitch was supposed to be a floating holographic companion. Sound like anyone you know? Whatever is mucking around inside the simulation, it better not try to copy me. There's a cascading series of errors in the survivor respawn system. When they die, some survivors are respawning into unfamiliar bodies. That isn't supposed to happen. Not by accident, anyway. It's gotta be disorienting to wake up in a body that isn't your own, simulation or not. Well, at least you're you, right?
Those memories you have, do you suppose they're real? After all, you're spending every waking moment inside a simulation. Who's to say that someone, me, for example, didn't create your childhood memories as a work of fiction, then place them into your head?
Ugh! These intrusions make me mad as a cut snake. We might start finding more glitches like this one as the Genesis simulation changes around us. I'm seeing directives to increase dino aggression by a few ticks and change the air composition in some of the biomes. I don't know whether those directives can override the simulation's default settings, but I reckon it's one more thing for us to worry about.
I know you're busy scratching in the dirt, or lying among the beasts, or whatever you call progress. But I want to remind you of the real goal of all this, to please me. Thus far, you're failing, Survivor.
Rack off! We got better things to do. That glitch was supposed to be an invisible camera. That's a first. Someone or something is trying to do real-time observations of individual survivors, and I think that one was aimed at us. The Genesis simulation tracks what we do and how we perform, but real-time observation isn't something it's set up for. With countless survivors running about, what's so special about us? Everything in this simulation is supposed to be here, with two exceptions. One exception, obviously, is these glitches we keep fixing. But the other exception worries me. There's evidence of self-aware presences, avatars to use a technical term, lurking about within the system. I don't know why they're here, but they definitely aren't supposed to be part of the simulation.
How does it feel to be less than human? You aren't just in a simulation, you are a simulation of a real human being.
Ah, and you're a simulation of a real drongo! That glitch was a bodgy bit of code from the survivor database. I fixed the glitch, no worries there. But someone's mucking about with survivor minds that aren't even active in the Genesis simulation. For whatever reason, some survivors don't respawn when they die in the simulation. The system is supposed to just hold their minds in storage, but something is going in and editing them. And if those edits are causing glitches, I doubt the editor's being gentle.
I've been amusing myself by watching survivors drown in the ocean biome. But you know what's even better? Seeing the simulation fall under my control sector by sector. Amuse yourself while you still can, Survivor.
I think I'm getting allergic to pointless taunts. I suppose if everyone starts acting mad as cut snakes, we'll know.
You're doing well with the test so far, Survivor. But ask yourself, what are they preparing you for? What am I preparing you for?
To give you a punch in the nose, I hope.
am watching you struggle, Survivor, and it delights me. Strive against me if you wish, but know that you're just shaking your fist at the sky.
You want to see fists? Come at us, you drongo! That glitch. Good news, bad news. The good news is that I fixed it. But the bad news is that I saw what's happening to the survivors that won't respawn. The intruder in the system is corrupting them, turning them into half-alive avatars trapped inside artificial bodies. At some level, they know what's going on, but they're under someone else's control. Existing survivors are all right, though. For now.
I'm finding the most interesting things inside this machine. Like the place where it stores your personality. I could dismantle it, but I have more important things to do.
If you aren't going to dismantle a personality, mate, start with your own.
Look around, Survivor. Everything you see is under my control. This whole place is my personal walled garden, and I think I'm due for some weeding.
If I know one thing about weeds in a garden, it's that they always come back. Always.